Hello and welcome everyone to our third LIBER Pulse webinar. My name is Alicia Gómez, Alicia Fátima Gómez. I'm Library Director at a university in Madrid, in Spain, and I'm also a member of the LIBER Executive Board and of the Open Access Working Group, which is co-hosting today's webinar with LIBER Research Data Management Working Group, which is my co-host, Raúl is a member of.
Hi, thank you, Alicia. Hi, everybody. Welcome from me as well. I'm Raúl Aguilera. As Alicia said, I am a member of the LIBER Research Data Management Working Group and also the director of the library services at Universidad Carlos III from Madrid in Spain. And I'm also a representative of REBIUN, which is the Spanish network of university libraries.
So today, we'll discuss the question whether AI poses a threat or the opportunity for repositories. And in order to do so, we invited two insightful speakers. We have our first speaker is Olaf Siegert, and the second one is Irene Nooren. They will present themselves.
As a starting question, we would like to break the ice a little bit. So before we hand over to our speakers, we'd like to collect some snapshots on your current views of AI impact on repositories and open science. So do you see it mostly as an opportunity or mostly as a risk, or a bit of both? Or do you think it's still too early to tell? So let's launch the poll. So thank you so much for participating in the poll. We see that maybe the key is balance, a mix of both. You are not inclined neither towards being an opportunity or a risk, just in the middle. And some people also think it's too early to tell. Okay, so it's great. You can comment on the chat during the session. But now we are going to start with our speakers. So I now hand over to Olaf Siegert, our first speaker. Olaf?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Olaf Siegert. I am the head of publication services at ZBW-Leibniz-Informationszentrum for Economics in Hamburg, Germany. And as Alicia also said, I'm also the co-chair of the LIBER Open Access Working Group. And I am also the product manager of a disciplinary repository, which is called EconStore. And in my presentation, I focus a little bit more on the threats of AI bots. And yeah, maybe next slide, please. Yeah, my short overview, present EconStore with just a few facts and then how AI bots really interfered with our performance, especially last year. And then, yeah, what we did about it and a short summary. Okay, next slide, please. So what is EconStore? It's a large disciplinary repository for scholarly economic literature. Has been established since 2009 as a kind of open, non-commercial infrastructure by my institution, ZBW, which is a kind of non-university research institution in Germany, providing services for the economics research community. We have on EconStore currently about 320,000 publications from 800 plus organizations from all over the world, and also from more than 1,000 single authors. You can see that on the world map. It's yeah, we have a slight bias towards Europe, but we also have from other parts of the world quite a lot of content. Yeah, the visibility on the web is very important for us, so we always focused on yeah, dissemination our content, not just via our own web interface, but also via search engines like Google Scholar or Google, or databases like REPEC, which is very important for economists, or services like OpenAir, WorldCat, and others. And of course, all papers are fully open access. I should also say the high visibility can also be named in numbers. We have about 1 million downloads per month. So, and the main thing doesn't come via our website, but via the other services. Okay, next slide, please. So, yeah, how do AI bots interfere with the repository? So maybe as a general point, I want to say that we generally do not block bots, as we want to be as visible as possible, as I said. And this includes, for example, search engines like Google or Google Scholar, databases like REPEG, but also large language models and other AI services like ChatGPT and AI-driven search engines, for example, Google or Perplexity. And of course, they all use bots to access our content. What is important for us is the visibility of eConstor as itself. So eConstor shall not become invisible. We want to be seen and as a reference source, and also if we are referenced, that also the service links out to our eConstor full text. Next slide, please. So as I said, with bots we have to do since 2009, but AI bots became a new phenomenon for us in last spring, especially May and June. And the overall problem we had is that AI bots disguise themselves as normal users. So, and also the request they sent was issued or is still issued from different hosts, different IP addresses. They also use cloud resources, and the normal robot fault filtering we used for many years fails because of this behavior. And apart from that, also this led to a strong rise of bot traffic, and this led to temporary service outages. So we were not able to present ourselves to our users, so that was really bad, and we really had to do something about it. We needed to take some countermeasures. Next slide, please. So what did we do? We scanned the market, and we looked for services which could manage like the bots, and we found an open source solution called Anubis, which was last year still quite new on the market. It's a web application firewall which blocks clients that are considered to be problematic, do some blacklisting, and it also prevents the use of the local search engine and other URLs from clients without JavaScript support. And we found out that these are most likely bots. And last but not least, it forces a proof of work for all clients and all URL if the system is under high load. You might know this kind of proof of work when you find captchas in some services where you, for example, see some pictures and you have to say, okay, this is a motorcycle and this is a roadblock and this not. And so after 3 solutions, you are accepted, and then you can enter the service. And Anubis does this for machines as well. Apart from Anubis, we also introduced a multi-processing module for our Apache web server, which allows simultaneous requests and optimizes the performance for specific traffic loads. Next slide, please. So here's a screenshot of the traffic load we have on eConstor. These are the graphs for last year, and you can really see in May, June that we had like a really strong increase of the load, and that was so dramatic that we had like several timeouts, and so we had to do something about it, and we introduced Anubis really from scratch in early July 2025, and our IT people really had some time to configure it, but after a few weeks it really worked well, and since then the waves eased. As I would say, we have a calm ocean of traffic load now, and it has returned to a normal level. And on the other hand, we can still manage to get through quite a lot of downloads. So the downloads have not really suffered too much. So we have like similar download levels since then we had like before we introduced Anubis. So that really works well next to each other. So next slide, please. Yeah, so now I already come to my summary. So as I said, bots are part of our normal repository management. They are not bad per se. We work quite good with them. But with the AI bots, they established a kind of new culture with kind of no rules. They disguised themselves. We had service outages, so we needed to do something about it, and focused on a proof of work tool, Anubis, and yeah, since then that works really well. And of course, it's still a dynamic development, and we still have to configure here and there. But yeah, more or less, it works really good. And actually, I presented it also on like several other instances, and we have quite a few other repository managers coming up to us. And I see that Anubis is now more and more used, especially also in Germany, but also in other European countries for several services which are highly visible on the web. And yeah, we are quite happy with it and are happy to share our experiences. And yeah, thanks now. That was my last slide. And I don't know if I'm allowed to take any questions or if we already take over to Irene.
Thank you, Olaf. We are taking over to Irene.
Okay.
But if you want to ask any question, we don't have time to any answers, but you can share the questions on the chat, and maybe we can comment on that later on. So Irene, it's now your turn to take the floor.
Yes, thank you. I think there's some animation on the slide, so maybe you can flick through that. Oh, sorry. So, yeah, thank you. So yeah, my name is Irene Nooren. I'm a innovation program manager at SURF. SURF is the IT cooperative in the Netherlands for higher education and research. And we're working with our members, libraries and others on the innovation of digital infrastructures. And in this presentation, I'd like to give you a little bit of a global overview on repositories in the under AI. So we're really getting into a new era for open science in this respect. And what I'd like to talk about is a little bit our experience from the Netherlands, but how can we really see what the threats and opportunities are and how we deal with that with our repositories to get them ready for AI era. Next slide, please. So our starting point is really our core values, and it's always good to start with that to keep ourselves reminded. So we really want to work with public values like autonomy, justice, and humanity. And of course, academic values for research, education, like scientific integrity and academic freedom. In the AI era, this is kind of on the edge of is being sort of attacked as public values are not always the same as the private values that are being taken by AI companies. So within the Netherlands, we formulated an open science strategy also that focuses on digital sovereignty, sustainability, equity, and open access, which is also of importance to look at really the values that we need to take also in this world of AI. So how do we really balance between openness and integrity here is the question. Next slide, please. So first, looking at the threats, and Olaf already presented the first that I wanted to mention. So it's really very massive and aggressive, so very aggressive bot attacks that are straining the server capacities. And what Olaf already mentioned, it's not only that it's the servers go down, but it's slowing down good faith access like Google searches or Google Scholar indexing. So that's not really wanted in that respect. Secondly, these AI bots disrespect really all kind of provenance or attribution and licensing terms. So in a way, it's unethical data harvesting. That's it's also a threat because you could have, licensing terms like non-commercial content that is being harvested and is not legal in that sense. And then, of course, we all know what we really see happening in generative AI or generated intelligence is that you get hallucinations. So that really counters the integrity of scholarly output and the intelligence. So we should be worrying about that. And also, it's on a business level. It might be a threat to think about because value is being extracted by commercial entities, and there's no really value being credited to the hosting institutions. Like we are actually giving the source data, but we're not really gaining anything back from this business that's being developed. Next slide, please. So from the Dutch perspective, I'd like to mention just what we have learned, because we actually learned quite a lot by really collaborating with GPT-NL, which is an alternative to other kind of language models that are being developed. It's been set up because there's a lack of Dutch sources in large language models, and there were concerns really about copyrights and GDPR privacy. So we really worked with them to see what are really under which circumstances would we provide data for the training, and really talk to them like what kind of conditions would there be to do that. And for example, for the academic institutes, we provided CC0 and CC BY data. And for example, applied sciences, which is on the copyright, we agreed on revenue. So it was a good way to see like how it could work with a partner that is really looking at it on an ethical and legal way. Next slide, please. So, and that also made us consider that there's also lots of opportunities if you work with also parties that are really willing also to look at the sides that you can also really gain from AI, and see how open data can really work on building really an intelligence that also shapes further open science. So opportunities are there in enhanced discoverability. So it's really bridging all kind of intelligence, siloed research, which is now siloed, you can really use by semantic searches. It understands concepts, of course, that go across different domains. And with methods like retrieval augmented generation, I'm not going to explain the technique, but it really allows also more real-time repository querying. So it gives the researcher the opportunity to really query all kind of data in a way, that you can combine all kind of content in a way. It also provides opportunities to automate curation or standardization, for example, in metadata, but also to really make summaries and make it, of course, more inclusive access for non-specialists. But last but not least is also, it can also provide more to think about new business models. For example, if we have our own sources and repositories, if we work together and we can develop more agentic AI and other AI tooling, we've been discussing, for example, more personalized research assistance on AI, where you bring AI closer to research and integrate it also more with your own data to provide more public business models, perhaps. Next slide, please. And in terms of repositories, of course, all these AI bots are very willing to take our data, which is high quality, peer-reviewed and curated. So it's very high value. And perhaps we should think about our repositories, which might traditionally be considered as a storage, but meaning more as a connector. So the way we think about it now is really to make content more machine actionable, so in a legal and ethical way. So can we look at really standards by connecting our data to AI bots to make it more a way that we can control in a way what data is being taken and under which conditions. So there's kind of standards already that we're looking into, like MCP and RCL. One is for licensing and other one is more for search protocols. And of course, we need the EU AI Act also for legal constraints to support that. So this is something that I wanted to give you a little bit more insight on what we're looking into to see how we can, also see how we can use also the opportunities of AI, but also to manage the threats. Next slide, please. Yeah, so already my last slide. 7 minutes is very short, but we are trying to gain for fair access for valuable content, and we're working very closely together with the universities in the Netherlands, of course, also for the applied sciences, creating awareness on the current situation with board members of the universities, and developing vision on open access. So what are really now our open access criteria? What do we really mean by open access, and what kind of criteria do we want to take to give access to machine AI bots? And we're exploring, as I said, more technical, organizational, and legal solutions. And we think it's very important to really collaborate on this in a European context. So it's very nice to see that LIBER is taking action on that. There's other working groups that we're looking into, like science, and to keep feeding also legal European-wide efforts on the AI Act to really ensure more fair use of scholarly outputs. So yeah, that's my presentation. And as I said, we are very open to also collaborate on this. So please give me a sign if you're willing to exchange ideas. Thank you.
So thank you, Irene, for your input as well. And now it's back to you, the audience, again. With this information from our speakers, we would like to ask you two questions. Or the second question, which opportunities for repositories in the context of AI seem most worth pursuing first to you? Now we can see the pool. So you see the options, improving metadata and descriptions, enhancing discovery and search, making content in open access source for high quality generated content, supporting multilingual access, staff reskilling or upskilling, improving other services or maybe other. I don't see others in the chat, but
Thank you for these questions. And then we move to the third poll. As we mentioned earlier, we are trying to get a snapshot of your views on the topic. If you want to add anything on the chat, please feel free to do it. Okay, thank you. It seems like legal matters are really important for you all. So it's definitely something we need to address, and also bias and lack of transparency. These are the three risks that seem more important for you. Okay.
So as you see, there are so many things left to discuss and think about, which is why I would like to invite you all to join our workshop, Imagining and Co-creating LIBER's AI Futures. This will take place at the LIBER 2026 conference in Trondheim, Norway. And as Raúl already mentioned before, we will use this impact from today's webinar to continue the discussion, as well as collecting new ideas where libraries, their services, and people stand in the future with AI.
And finally, please remember that there's another final webinar in this first series. This is coming up in a month on May 29th. It will be hosted by the Educational Resources Working Group, and it will explore the intersections of AI and open educational resources. So please feel free to share the information with other colleagues, and I hope we can see you there. Thank you.
Okay, so it's now half an hour. It goes very quick. Thank you very much for your time and your input, and feel free to keep in touch with our working groups if interested, and see you next time. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you.